Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we're just going to work out getting the interfacing and cutting out the bib pieces for our apron. Hope you'll come and join me. So I've just done my embroidery, I've just prepared it ready to go on, and what I've done is I've taken a piece of fusible interfacing, I cut it the same size as my pattern, and I've popped it onto my piece of fabric there like that. I ironed it all over so that's sitting on nicely, and I've got my backing piece, and what you want to do is come in with your other piece of fabric and we're going to just stitch right across the top at 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to turn the machine on. I'm going to go on, I'm going to do a back stitch. I was still on a gathering stitch there, sorry. And I'm going to go all the way across like that, and I'm looking here on my foot to make sure I've got it the right space, and I'm not watching my needle, I'm watching this piece here on my foot. And then I have to do another one because I managed to burn the other one with the iron. So there we go. So I've done it like that. I'm going to take it to the iron now and I'm just going to fold that right over. So what we did on the other one was we just put it in, it was just very plain across the top there. We just folded it in and it was just completely plain. And I thought, oh, it's a bit boring. It doesn't look quite right. So I had a scrap of fabric. You might have a scrap left, hopefully. And all I did was I got a little piece of, this is just a nylon cord, just a piece of random cord I had lying around. And I'm just going to pop it inside and fold it over like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to take it to the machine and I'm just going to stitch really close to the edge of that cord there, like that, along there. Come in, do some back stitching, and I'm going to go all the way down. And you see it's sort of like touching where that string is on the edge there. So I'm just going to come in now and we're going to pin, so that's there, and then we're just going to stitch straight across, but we're going to come in and we're going to put our foot right there so that that needle is going right down there beside that string. Okay, so I'm going to just put that right in there and put my foot down on the string itself, and then my needle is going to go so it sits on the other side of the string. Let's see if you can see that better. Hopefully you can see that. So I've got this side of it is on my 1/4 of an inch there, so we know that's 1/4 of an inch, and this is where, if you can, so I can feel it here, that's where that is, and that's where my needle is going to run along beside the string. And then do that stitch and then come all the way along, running it alongside of that string. If you find that you're too far out, don't worry, because you can just go back and do it again. Okay, got to the end. I'm just going to go back. And just going to push it. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at that. So I'm going to trim away all this excess so that you should just be left with your front piece and your with your interfacing on, and that should cover up some of the fabric. So I'm just going to come along and trim all that excess away. So that's an alternative that you can do to just make sure that you've got a little bit of fabric at the top. Okay, what I've done now is here we've got our bib and here we've got the straps which are going to go onto the side of our bib. I've taken the straps and I've folded them over 1/4 of an inch and I've ironed them all the way down. So you should have 2 straps and you should have like that, and then you're going to put the seam, the ironed on down piece down onto your, what will be your left side, and then you want to do the other 2 pieces and you want to put them so that they are on the right side. Okay, just place that on the top just to give yourself a little bit. You've got plenty of this strap, I've left you plenty for it. Just line that up like that and then put the other one like that so that you've got those seams are on the outside. And then just carry on, you don't need to pin this too much, just put a few pins in up the strap. Come along and pin these up all the way. And the last one at the end, just a quick pin like that, and then do the other side. Okay, a couple of pins and we'll just pop that in. Right, so just pin all the way exactly the same on this side. I'm going to go to the sewing machine now and I'm just going to do it back stitch, stitch all the way down, back stitch to finish on both sides. And go up a little bit because I'm not anywhere near where that fabric is starting. So I'm just coming up to where it starts and now I'll do my back stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to just run the whole way along. Back stitch finish, go down the other side. Come on a bit, back stitch. Finish that off with the back stitch. Make sure you finish off that with the back stitch, and there you go. And that is all done. So the next thing you want to do is just take this to the iron now and press this so that's laying beautifully flat all the way along. And then we're just going to come down and we're going to stitch these 2 pieces together along the edge. Okay, so I'll just go and do that. Just run down that very last bit. Just do a back stitch. There we go. Okay. So here we are. So I've got all my gathers done. And I've ended up with a spool attached to me. Let me just stop a minute and get rid of this spool. Oh, it's everywhere. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to put this on. And what we're aiming to do is get the edge of this ruffle to sit directly on top of the edge there, but just a bit over, okay, so that you don't see any of those ties at all. We're going to come along and we're going to just stitch that just like that. I'm going to stitch on top of those, on top of these gathering stitches. Okay, so just going to come along, pinning it all the way. Put in a good few pins because this does tend to move a little bit. Alright, so we're just going to come on and do a back stitch. And I'm going directly over where I have put my tacking stitches. And you want to keep it so it's laying flat. Okay, get that pin out. Good. Or something if you want to just sit and have somebody to work with. It feels like you've got a bit of a companion working along beside you. That's quite nice, and you can just put your computer on and work together, which is quite nice to do. Right, so just break that off and then we're going to come in and do the other side. So when you get your skirt pieces, you've got 2 big pieces cut like this. So what you're going to do is take one of the big pieces and fold it in half and cut it right down the centre like that. So you've got 2 smaller pieces like that, and then you've got 1 large piece like that. Okay, so with the 2 smaller pieces, what you need to aim with the bottom, so 1/4 of an inch and then fold over 1/2 inch. With the other side of it, you need to make sure that it's on the other side, so you don't want to put it down here. Okay, so when you're laying it together, you don't want both edges to be down here. You want one on this side like that and one on that side like that. And then do exactly the same with the bottom. And we're just going to run a hem all the way across the bottom like that, and you're going to just put them together just like that there and stitch them down. Okay, so we'll just put them together like that at the moment because we're going to work on getting them now so that we can put our French seams in down the side. So if this is your side like that, the piece which you want to join is here. So when you put them together, your 2 pieces, you want them to be joined together just like this. Okay, and then we're going to come in and we're going to put this one on top like that, and we're going to lay that one on that way round so he's up like that. Okay, so you'll have both pieces and they will be just like that, and you're going to pin them all the way down. So I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to stitch it 1/4 of an inch, and it's about here on this foot. You can use 1/4 of an inch foot if you want, it's not a problem. And can you see I've just pushed that ironed bit down just on the bottom there. So I'm just going to come in very slowly now, do a back stitch, and then go all the way to the top. Take that bit out and then do the last bit. Okay, and I did a back stitch there. Take that out and then we'll do the other side. Okay, so take that off, and then you can either take this back to the table or you can do it here. Oh, I've got a big bit of cotton hanging there. And you just come across and just trim this back to 1/8 of an inch. Do the same on the other side. And then we'll just take it to the iron and give it a little quick press. So we're now going to come in again and do this at 1/4 of an inch again all the way down. And make sure that you've got your wrong side of the fabric, should be on the top and on the bottom for your French seam. And then do a back stitch. Okay, lift that one. There, and then do exactly the same on the other side. Okay. Right, once you've done that, we're going to do the hem. So start here. We're going to come right down the side here. You want it as close to the edge as you can get it. So I'm going to pop it there, and we're going to put it nice and close to that edge. I'm just going to do a completely straight stitch all the way around the bottom of the side, all the way down the side and all around the bottom. Back stitch. And I think I could just move in a tiny bit. That's better. Sorry, just move that one in just a tiny bit, that's better. Right, when you get to this bottom, I want this side piece to come over the top like that, alright? So make sure you fold that bottom in and tuck that side piece in before you get to it. And I'll just come and put my needle in the down position. Okay, turn it. And then we'll go all the way along the bottom. Okay. There we go. Put a back stitch in. Okay. And the last thing we're going to do on this piece of skirt is put in the gathering. Okay. So we now need to change our stitch, and on mine it's just here, and I'm going to change the biggest stitch I've got in mine is a 7, but I don't know, whatever you might have, change it to your largest stitch, which is your gathering stitch. Okay, put that like that. No back stitches for gathering. straight off the end, just to end on the fabric. Give that one a nice long end and then cut that one off. And then do exactly the same again, but this time we're just going to change the position of the foot. Now you can either change to a 1/4 inch foot, or you can put that one on exactly as it was before, lift your needle like that, and then change your needle position. This is what changes my needle position. Can you see both of them moving? So I'm going to change my needle just so it's further up this end. Okay. And I'm going to come along with my foot. And there we go. Don't put a back stitch in, just leave a nice long thread like that. Alright, so you've got those two like that, and then you can just pull along, and you're just going to need to go along like this and pull the whole thing along until you've got the whole skirt gathered to the same size as your top. Okay, so now we are going to be working on putting our waistband on and are attaching the skirt of our apron, as well as attaching the ties to the back. So now what I'm going to do is cut a piece of interfacing to go on to the back of the back piece, alright, at I9 interfacing, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces of interfacing to go onto my ties. Okay, so you have the pattern for that, so go away, do that, and then iron them on according to the instructions on your interfacing, and put that up to one side all ready to go. Okay, so got all that done, and now I'm just going to come along, I'm just going to trim these edges so that they're absolutely straight sitting along here like that. Okay, you won't see any of that because it comes up 3/8 of an inch, so all of that will be gone underneath there. Do exactly the same here. Just cut a nice straight piece off there. There we are. Alright, and that would, as I say, will be all underneath. So you want to take your piece for the front, and you want to make sure that when you lay it down, it's upside down, so that when you turn it over, it'll be like that. Okay, find the center of that piece, find the center of that piece, and I'm just going to finger mark that there so I can see my little mark there. Finger mark that one, pop that one on top. There we go, and then grab a pin, pop that in there, and then we're just going to pin this right the way along. Okay, piece to go on so that it's facing that way as well, touching, so that they're exactly in lined up. So can you see that? That's exactly lined up there with the bottom of that. You can measure that and make sure that's in the centre. There we go, that's correct. So I'm going to put those 2 pieces together. So you want like a sandwich. Put that down a tiny bit there, that's it. Sandwich those 2 pieces together and come right along. You come right to the end, but make sure you pin this piece here well in. So I've just got it underneath the needle. I'm just going to come in, go back, take the pin out and go straight across. And do that one. We'll go back to the table. I'm just going to line up my tie. Now when you've got your tie, you want to put it so that the legs on the deer, or whatever piece of fabric you're using, is going that way. You want it sort of up and down like that, because it's going to fold in the centre there. So I folded the end of it in half just to make a little mark, and I'm lining that end up with that piece there, just like that. And I'm just going to come along and pin that. Just a couple, it won't take many in there, pin that, those 2. Okay, and I'm just going to pin that along that end there as well. That might help. Okay, so just going to come on and do a straight stitch right across, back stitch, and then straight across. One thing I did say, I did open up my seam in there, alright, so you can do that if you want to, just to get that laying nicely. It's a bit awkward. Don't want to touch the camera if I can help it. There we go. Sorry, I got my arm in it again, didn't I? Sorry. Right, do exactly the same on the other side. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our skirt, and our skirt is going to sit from that French seam there, is going to sit right there on that edge, like that. Make sure when you fold it down that you've got it like that, so you've got two right sides together, alright? So we're putting it like this at the moment, so we're putting the right side on top of the right side. Find my French seam, it's all the way back here. So I'm just joining that one up with that seam there. I'm just plopping that in place with a pin. Okay, and I'm going to do the same on this side. There. Okay, and I have this all gathered. And that's pretty much, I think that's, yeah, that's going to be right. There. Okay, so I'm just going to join those two up. And then what I want to do then is to go around and even out all my gather again. So that's that side. So we're going to go 4.5 inches. I did check, just let me check that again. Yeah, 4.5. Where's my seam actually? That is 4.5 inches. So we're going to go 4.5 inches this side as well. So I've got this on now, and I've got it under the needle, but what I want to do is make sure that as this is coming along, I want this absolutely flat, and I want to keep it exactly on that 3/8 of an inch, just there like that. I want to make sure that's like that because what you're going to find is if you go down or up on it at all, your line of your middle line of your waistband is going to be crooked. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep that really nice and straight and keep it in there and do a nice straight stitch right across. So go on, do a back stitch. So what you want to do is almost like try and push, keep this down nice and straight. We don't want any of that bunching up inside any of these bits here, because if you do, you're going to get a tuck. And make sure you're laying flat on the underside as well. Just catch that very last bit, and then do a back stitch. There we go. Okay, so take that out. And that's a little skirt put onto the apron. So the next thing we're going to do is just come in, and whilst I was sat in there doing the rest of the pinning, I just pinned up along here. So these are our straps. I've just pinned them all the way along. I just used a pin, sorry. So I'm just going to come in, and I'm just going to stitch them all the way along. So I'm going to start to come along. This is the bottom of this, very bottom of it. And come straight across. Put my needle in the down position. Okay, turn it. Not quite enough, another stitch. That's it. And then run all the way up, keeping this on 1/4 of an inch. But we're going to stop when we get here where that waistband is, okay? So just going to run it all the way up. And again, we're just coming up to that edge. There, like that. I'm going to stop when we get just to there. Okay. do a back stitch. Okay, so now we're going to take this, turn it the right way around, and it will be all ready to go and just finish it off with a little bit of hand stitching. So I shall just go and turn it around now. So here it is, all done. So together now, you can see that's much better, laying nicely there together. All I'm going to need to do now is to go around and unpick all those stitches on those tacking stitches there, which should come out nice and easy with the kick unpick. Right now I'm going to just take these and I'm going to get them to come in. I'm just going to trim these two corners because I can't do that corner fold with those as they go through. So I've just sort of trimmed them off, and then we're just going to start by taking my rod here. So you can do this with a rod, you can do it with, this is just a piece of dowel. You can use a piece of dowel, you can use your forceps here and get them out nicely. You could put your rod back in again, but the other thing you can do is just use a pin to pull it out. So alright, there we go. Right, so what I'm going to do now, take this to the ironing board, and I'm going to iron the whole of that front piece there, across there, down over my straps on both ends. And then I'm going to turn it over, and on this piece I'm going to hand stitch this onto it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this back that 3/8 of an inch all the way along on my with the iron. Once I get that laid nicely, get that all folded back, and then I will come in and I will stitch in here, and let's show you how I will do that. If you go back and watch the other video, here it is. If you go back and watch the other video on the dress, you will see me, I actually sit and hand stitch that on the video, but I probably these straps sorted out. So I just did, as you know, one side strap. We've got too much for this size, so I'm just going to trim it down, and what I want to do is, this is where my buttonhole is going to be. I've measured it on my child, put it onto her, I laid it on, did up the tie on the back like so, okay, and then this strap here, which is the strap on the child's right when she stood up, is going to go under this side here, okay, and it will slot in there. So that is the side where I'm going to put my button, and there's going to be a buttonhole here on this side, okay, so that will go underneath and fit into there like that. So you've got a cross across the back, that one will come across and it will go in there, and it will fit in there underneath that, and that's where it is, okay, like so. So here we are. So here we are with my pin, and this is where we're going to cut. So my buttonhole is going to go exactly there, so I want a little bit more fabric just coming down, and I'm not going to cut straight across, I'm going to come up at an angle like that, okay. So hopefully, let me move it right over so that I'm in the middle a bit more. So I'm coming up and I'm giving myself about an inch, okay, and I'm just going to come up, cut like that, okay, and then lay that piece out and then cut that up at an angle. Right, and then we're going to fold the whole of this back underneath, and we're going to stitch it down. So we're going to fold it over once like that, and then we're going to fold it over again like that, and then we're going to stitch the whole of that down. So I'm going to neaten off this end piece here. So I'm going to take it and go like that. Okay, so you're folding it under once, and you're folding it under twice. Now, if you don't want all this bulk here, what you can do is hold onto it here and pull that out flat. Okay, so you should be able to pull those stitches out. There we are, okay. Fold it under one time like that, and fold it under again. Now, you don't have to have all that fabric. It is quite a lumpy bit of fabric there. All right, what you can do is come in and trim that piece there, okay, and now you should get a nice lay on your piece of fabric there. All right, make sure that little bit's tucks in under. So I'm going to put a couple of pins in there. There, couldn't find them for a minute. So stick one pin in there. Right, I'm just going to fold that piece there under because I don't like that bit, that's the raw edge. Fold it in under. There, one, and we're going to fold the other one in under here too. Right, and I'm just going to come in before I do that actually and fold that little end up there first. So I just took it, look, and I'm just folding it up a little bit like that, just a tiny bit, and then fold that under like that, so that's sitting on top of it. Get that one straight, there you go. Okay, and I'll put the pin in that one. And we're just going to take it to the sewing machine and we're just going to stitch really just a straight row of stitches just there. Back stitch, straight row, back stitch, okay? Do exactly the same on the other side. So, okay, so the buttonholes are going to go here. Alright, so I should press that flat first before I go onto it. And then I'm going to put a buttonhole here, and then I'm going to put a buttonhole here, okay? So it's just before the end on my skirt. I'm coming on like that, and I'm just going to come on. I'm going to come further down than I usually do and put my buttonhole sort of slightly further down. So usually we would just come down at half a centimetre, 5 millimetres, which is about 1/4 of an inch like that, okay? But I'm going to come down because I want it to come slightly further in, so I'm wanting it to come in an inch. So I'm going to put it, I want it to start here. Okay, so that's where I want it to be. And that is going to be hard for me to see. See if I can put across that way. Because it's on that line, it's just in there. So I'm going to drop my foot down. I don't know if you can see the little line there. It's just there, look. Oh, it's a pink, okay? Just there like that. Okay, so and then all you're going to do with this is just, you can put your hands on it just to keep it stable, and I like to hold on to my piece of thread as I do it. All right, and I'm just going to start. I've come in at that pink piece and I'm just going to start it from here. I can see what's happening here, it's just getting caught on that. And that's just it. And that's that side done. Okay, and there we go. There you've got your lovely buttonhole. Trim off all those loose ends and then we'll do the other side. Alright, so change your stitch back to your ordinary stitch. That's it, mine's on my normal stitch, it's on my usual length which I usually use. I've changed my foot over, so we're all pretty ready to go now. So we're just going to come down here and I'm going to go back and straight down. I'm just going to slip that pin out, which was the wrong way around, and hold it with my finger. Keep it straight as you possibly can. The other thing I didn't say is if you're getting a thing from your machine, your buttonhole foot might still be down, so make sure you push your buttonhole foot back up, okay? Just want to come a bit further, that's it, and then do the back stitch. Don't want anything unravelling there. So that's that one. So I've got my buttonhole foot, my button foot, sorry. It looks like that, it's a weird one. It's got a hole in it, and when you probably see it, you probably think, weird. Right, okay, so then I'm going to slip this off. And down the bottom here, you will see there is a thing for pushing your, and that'll stop your, you can get it to work, that will stop your feed dogs from pushing your fabric through, okay? Put your buttonhole foot on, like your button foot on, sorry, like that, and it just clips, that's going right there. Like that, and I'm going to lift my foot up and I'm going to pop it down so that it's going onto the centre of that buttons. So you've got both button hole pieces, the two holes are straight in the middle of it. Make sure that they're straight. Just get them, just takes a second to straighten them up. Alright, so that one's on. So now we're going to go to a zigzag stitch. Okay, and that looks like a lightning. And we're going to push it down into that side of the button. See, it won't go in. So just very carefully turn your handle. You've got a little your round piece on the end of the machine. Push it down, and if it won't go in, just move that button on that foot just the tiniest bit. And there, as you can see, it's going in now. It's in that side. It's going to pop over it. I'm going to see whether it'll go into that side, and it will. Okay, let's just check. So we're going to do. Okay, so you've got a nice sewn on button, just like that. Okay, I'm going to lift it out, and then I'm going to pull some long threads out, snip them off, and we're going to pull those through. I'm just going to grab a bigger needle, pushing that through the back there, if I can get it to go through. Let's see if it'll push through on my board. Yeah, it's gone in. There we go. I'll just pull that out. There we go. So you should have 4 threads back here now. Tie them off. So I'm going to take a pin, okay, and I'm going to pop it into the end of my buttonhole just before where those last stitches are, like that. And I'm just going to come in with my seam ripper, and I'm going to rip this piece. Go in like that. There we go, and then just push it right the way along. There we go. Okay, so that's your buttonhole made. Take your pin, bring it to this end, put it in exactly the same as you did before. There we go, and then pop it and just loosen that end as well. Okay, and then that will be your buttonhole finished. All right. Neaten it up. So that will be pretty much the end of our spring outfit. We've just later. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, I would actually love it. Please leave me some comments. I'd love to hear you enjoyed it. Goodbye.